guys, I'm Amy. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing the Under the Influence of BookTube tag, which is our tag originally created by Olive at a Book Olive, which just asks questions about how BookTube has affected my life and my reading and all of that kind of jazz. So if you're ready for a bit of a chatty, introspective video, then go ahead and keep on watching. Alrighty, so I'm going to be looking down because the questions are down here. Question number 1 is, what's a fantastic book you read off the recommendation of another booktuber? And oppositely, what's a book that you were talked out of reading because of a booktuber's review? We will go ahead and start with the books that I read because of a booktuber's recommendation. First of all, I couldn't not mention my love of Frederick Bachman. I don't remember who exactly it was that I saw first talk about A Man Called Uva, but this book and author is a favorite of mine. My current favorite by Bachman that I've read all but his newest series from him, is My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry. It's purely because of BookTube that I discovered him, and I'm so very, very thankful for that because, like I said, I just adore his writing. Another book that I read and loved recently is a book recommended to me by May Cho. I'll link her channel down below, and all the other channels that I mention throughout this, just know that it's all down below, is The Hen Who Dreamed She Could Fly by Soo-Mi Hwang and translated from the Korean by Chi-Young Kim. And this is an anthropomorphic story about a hen named Sprout who has never left her coop until one day she escapes in a kind of roundabout way. And this book is about grief and life and just what we experience as humans, but in a barnyard and with animals. And I really, really loved this book a lot. And lastly, a book that I also recently read just this summer, and the more time I've spent away from it, the more I've just come to realize I really, really love this book. And this was based on the recommendation of Laura at Paperback Laura, and that is I Capture the Castle by Dodie Smith. This is a modern classic about Cassandra, who is our narrator, and you're reading her diary entries, and she lives in a poor family in rural England in this crumbling manor castle. Her father was a successful author but hasn't written anything for many years. She has a very eccentric stepmother, and this is about what happens when the heirs to the estate that they live on come to visit. They're American boys, and how it upends their life and affects them. And I enjoyed Cassandra as a narrator so very much that I really, I could pick this book up and start reading it again, and I know it wouldn't disappoint. And the second half of this question are books that I was talked out of reading based on a booktuber's review, and I have two that I'm going to share with you. The first of which is The Essex Serpents by Sarah Perry. This is a book that's very well loved by a lot of booktubers, but I heard Jessica at Jessica Reads Things chat about this book and her kind of lukewarm reaction to it, and it was just enough for me to really be okay with the fact that I don't plan on picking this book up. It doesn't really appeal to me, even though that doesn't make sense. You would think it would, but it doesn't. And the second book is Less by Andrew Sean Greer. This is the current Pulitzer Prize winning book that Matthew at Matthew Sharapa did a review on, in which he just frankly kind of tore this book apart, and it just really convinced me that I didn't want to read it. Again, this wasn't a book that I felt really compelled to read, but after listening to his review, I'll link it down below, I just don't feel any rush to go out and read this book. Question 2 is, has BookTube opened your mind to or changed your mind about any genres? 150% yes. I had no idea that literary fiction was a thing or what it was before discovering BookTube, and I read a lot of literary fiction now. I would say the majority of what I read is literary fiction or could be classified as literary fiction. And I also love that literary fiction can have other genres mixed in. It could be science fiction, it could be fantasy, it could be a contemporary, it could be historical fiction. I absolutely love that about this genre, and how it just really delves into what it means to be human and the hard things that come with being a human and existing, but it always gives me hope in a lot of ways. My favorite books tend to be literary fiction now, so I'm so thankful to BookTube to have introduced me to this really incredible depth within this genre. And I would also say another thing that I was open to with short stories. I really don't know if I realized that that was a thing, and I find that I really do enjoy short story collections. I don't read nearly as many as I would like, but I've read a lot, or not a lot, I don't know if a lot is probably the right word, but a good number now that I've really enjoyed, and I like the ability to read a complete narrative in a quick set of time. Question 3 is, how much time did you spend on YouTube before BookTube, and how much do you spend on it now? That really depends on where I was at in my life. I really got into the beauty, makeup community here on YouTube, and that's when I really started watching YouTube. So it was kind of my TV for a while because I'm not a big TV person. And then I sort of got out of that a little bit, and I do watch some channels like BuzzFeed and that type of thing occasionally for like a quick mindless video. But I would say I watch more BookTube now, or YouTube now, because of BookTube, because I'm consistently interacting with other booktubers and my viewers and subscribers, and so I would say I spend about maybe 1 to 2 hours a day, but some days more. If I'm cleaning or doing things, I like to have my videos on in the background in which I can multitask, and then I'll go back later and comment on other people's videos of what I watched. And so it just kind of depends on the day, but consistently at least an hour, I would say, on average. Question 4 is, how many books did you read per month or per year before BookTube, and how much do you read now? To be completely honest with you, I did not keep track of my numbers or the amount of books that I read before BookTube like I do now. I would say I probably read 2 to 4 books a month, but I really did go through phases in which I would read a lot and then I wouldn't read as much, and it'd kind of cycle through, whereas now I consistently read all the time. I always have a book that I'm reading, and I really enjoy that a lot. But I would say I read about 8 books on average a month. Again, I do have phases where, depending on what my schedule looks like, I'll read a lot more some weeks compared to others. But as of right now, I've read about 55 books this year, I think. So I'm very happy with that. That seems like a good number. And so I definitely read more than I'm on BookTube because I think it keeps me accountable in a lot of ways, but it's something that I enjoy, so it doesn't seem like work. Question 5, has BookTube affected your book buying habits? And if so, are you pleased or displeased by this? I have gone through a bit of a process to get to where I'm at now with my book buying habits. I've always been one to buy books. I've always loved the idea of having a library and collecting books. I've always told people, yes, I am a reader, but I'm also a book lover. I love the physical book, seeing it on my shelves. So I've always purchased books, and I don't think that will ever change. Certainly not now. And initially when I started my channel, I bought a lot more books than I ever had before, but I bought them in a very indiscriminate, haphazard type of way. If I recognized a title because one person mentioned it, I would pick it up and bring it home. But now I would say I don't think I buy more than I used to, maybe by a few books, but I'm a lot more critical on the books that I do buy. I've really found that through BookTube and being in this community, I've really honed in on what books I think I will like and I will enjoy, which makes me very happy. So I'm a lot pickier now, but I also am exposed to a lot more books. So I would say I've pretty much stayed the same, but I'm finding books that I'm more likely to enjoy, which makes me obviously very happy because we all want to be reading books that we enjoy. So for a while there, it definitely increased, and my husband wasn't so sure about that, but I would say everyone in the Poole household now is pretty happy with my current book buying habits. Question 6 is, has a review by a booktuber ever retroactively made you reconsider your stance on a book? Yes. Again, I have 2 books to mention here, and they are both based on conversations or reviews I had with Claire from Claire Reads Books. The first of which is a book that I had a lukewarm reaction to. I didn't dislike it, but I didn't love it when I read it, and I actually have done a review for it, but it is an older video, I will warn you, but I will link it up here for you guys, or up here. It's up here. And that is My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante. If you guys watch Claire's channel, you will know she adores Elena Ferrante, and she adores these books. And I had read this book, and then we had a discussion about it on Snapchat, and she really just helped open me up to what I read, and I think I like this book more now after having that discussion with her, which makes me very happy. I had every intention of continuing on with this story. I think I will enjoy Elena and, oh gosh, what was her friend's name? Leela. as adults and young women more than as children, which is abnormal for me because usually I do really love adult books that are from the point of view of children. But she definitely increased my regard towards this book. But on the opposite side of things, she has recently done a review. It's a dual review, but she talks about Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman, in which she was very disappointed by this book. Now, again, I've done a review on this book. I will link it up here for you guys. I really loved this book. I found this book to be very heartwarming and really get into the depth of what it means to connect and be human and be a part of a group versus an outsider, and I really enjoyed that. But Claire really eloquently, as always with all of her reviews, pointed out some flaws to this book that I hadn't seen when I read it initially. I still love this book, but I think I don't find it as perfect as I did before, but I'm okay with that because she's made me a more critical reader, and for that, Claire, thank you so very much. I do really appreciate it. But there are two examples of a book that I didn't like as much and like more now, and a book that I really loved that I'm willing to and now see that it did have some flaws. Question 7 is a big one, and that is, are there any videos you've been inspired to make after seeing another booktuber's video or videos? Have you ever felt inspired by another booktuber's style, their video style, their book organization style, their personal style, anything? And absolutely I have. I would say just kind of on like a very cut and dry style thing that I've picked up would be from both Simon at Savage Reads and Matthew at Matthew Sharappa, in which they have like a little clip before they run like their like name opening credit title screen, and I just find that to be a really great way to sink into a video and really make it clear to you guys that I regularly make mistakes and I'm super human, and I just want that to be very clear, and it's very warm and cozy and real to me. So I definitely adapted that by having that little clip at the beginning of all of my videos. But also I love Doris from Aldi Books. I love how warm and chatty and cozy her videos are. She does minimal editing, and the feelings I get while watching Doris's videos are just, it makes me happy. If I'm feeling sad, I'll watch a video with Doris in it, and it just, our reading habits are similar, and I get great recommendations for her, and I really hope and work to have that warm, cozy regard towards my viewers that I feel like I get when I watch Doris's videos. And lastly, I have not done these videos yet, but I've been meaning to for a while now, and there's two booktubers who have done similar things, and that would be Jessica from Jessica Reads Things and Kendra from Kendra Winchester, in which they've done videos where they talk about why and how they read. And I've been meaning to do this for a while now. Like I said, I don't have them now, but I've been thinking about them, and I'm hoping to do them very soon, that just really delve into why I'm a reader, why I pick up the books I do, how I pick them up, how I organize my reading life. I find all of that very fascinating. I have a degree in psychology, and I really want to understand why people do what they do, or attempt to understand. So there are some videos that you can look forward to that I've definitely been inspired to make based on watching other people's videos. Question number 8, what are some pressures you feel on your reading life because of your channel? I would say the biggest thing, other than the obvious things like I want to upload regularly and interact with you guys and comment and respond to people's videos and their comments on my videos, but I think the thing I worry about the most is reading books that I feel like are relevant. I don't read thrillers. That's a really big genre here on BookTube. I don't read YA very regularly. That's a huge genre here on BookTube. But I really worry about picking up books that I think you guys want to hear me read about, but I try really hard not to get stuck in that, because it's okay if I want to read books nobody else is reading. That's what makes me the reader that I am. So it's something that I worry about, but that I try really hard not to get sucked into, because I want to read what I want to read. This channel is about me sharing my reading life with others, not changing my reading life to suit others' wants and desires. Like I said, I want to make content that you guys want to watch, but I also hope that I can introduce people to new books that aren't being talked about here on BookTube. Even though I've had some great recommendations, like the first question, in which I never would have picked up these books, and now they're some of my favorites. But I try hard to not get sucked into what I feel like I should be reading versus what I want to read. Question 9. In what way, if any, do you feel the social impact of the community has impacted your reading? Do you think about books differently since joining? I would say the biggest change for me in my reading and how I read, having this social community in which we discuss and talk about and gush and critique books, is that I am more of a critical reader now. I read books to escape. That's what I used to do before my channel, especially. I read a lot of romance novels. They were quick, they were easy, they had happy endings, and they gave me an opportunity to just decompress. And reading still does that for me, but I found that I want more out of my books now. Not only do I want to enjoy the book that I'm reading and enjoy the story, but I also want to get something out of it. I want it to be well written and well composed and have characters that develop and grow. And so I would say like I said, I'm more critical of a reader, and a thing that I think has come of that is I annotate my books now. I am not a perfect annotator. I don't think I always make really wonderful intellectual comments in my margins. Sometimes it's absolute gibberish, and just at times I'm writing, "What?" in the margin because that was my reaction. But it's just really allowed me to interact with my books and the text and the stories in a way that it really sinks into my brain, and it gives me something to talk to you guys about, because I feel like I know these books better because I'm interacting with them in a more intimate way. And the last question is, what influence do you hope your own channel will have on the BookTube community and or aspiring booktubers? And this is a really loaded question that I could probably make a whole video on in and of itself. But I think more than anything, for just the BookTube community in general, that it's okay to read what you want to read, even if it doesn't seem relevant. And the bottom line is that we read to enjoy and to learn and to connect and experience things that we would never otherwise experience. And I just really want to bring that home with all of my videos, that it's not about how many books you read or whether or not you feel like you give all these really well articulated thoughts about a book or an author or a writing style, but it's that we're all here because we love to read and we love books, and it brings us joy, or whatever it is that reading does for us. And as far as for aspiring booktubers, just do it, you guys. I am not perfect. The reason I put my bloopers and rambles at the end of every one of my videos is because I am nowhere near perfect, and I was able to do this and have really found a community of people that just bring me a lot of joy. I have really awesome friends now that I know I can go to for a recommendation or a book discussion or just bookish thoughts, or just people that are like you that you can just share your lives with each other. And I just do it. You just have to break down and make the video and post it, and later on you'll look back and you'll cringe at what you've done, but you'll feel so much better for it. There you have it, guys. There is the Under the Influence of BookTube tag. Olive, thank you so much for tagging me. This is probably really long and really chatty, but I think that's just the nature of this tag. But I am here for all of it. I'm going to tag Jessica at Jessica Reads Things, and Claire from Claire Reads Books, and Matthew from Matthew Sharapa. Doris from Aldi Books too. I would love to see all of your answers. Olive might have tagged you guys, but I'm going to doubly tag you again because I really want you guys to do this tag. But this has been fun, you guys. I haven't done a chatty video in a while. If you guys want to answer any of these questions down below in the comments, please do. I love videos that get down into the nitty-gritty of why and how we read. So if you guys like this video, please like it. And if you loved it, please subscribe, and we'll see you in my next video. Happy reading. Why is the struggle so real right now?